Welcome to PVS Paired Voting System, with an introduction to PPWVS. This video traces the steps to set up a legislative decision on IAP, International Aid Program, spending levels from less than 0.4% to more than 2%. The first step consists of a general election using PVS. The Canadian election of 2015 set the basis for this example. Paired voting system, PVS, is transparent and easy to understand. The program pairs every candidate with every other candidate by each voter. These are called choice pairs, hence paired voting system. Important values are determined from each such pairing. These are wins, ties, fours. PVS analyzes the data and calculates final rankings. PVS establishes choice ratios of the first and second ranked candidates in each riding. Choice ratios are defined as the fours a candidate receives in relation to its highest ranked competitor divided by the total number of fours. PVS establishes a candidate ranked in first place as elected. PPWVS assigns his choice ratio to his party. PVS establishes a candidate ranked in second and assigns his choice ratio to his party. The count of elected representative is 338, and the sum of all choice ratios at 338. PPWVS uses the sum of the choice ratios of each party to adjust the weights used in the legislature. PPWVS thus ensure voters are fully represented in the legislature. Weighted votes in this example form the basis of PPWVS, also known as paired proportional voting system. Paired Proportional Weighted Voting System, PPWVS. PPWVS forms the basis of the weights applied to all the parties. In the example shown, the Conservative Party has 24,731 total votes. PPWVS allows the influence of these otherwise lost votes to have full effect at the legislature. The Conservatives had more support from the electorate than the number of elected representatives would suggest. PPWVS uplifted their RNK weight from 99 to 110. The Liberals had less support from the electorate than the number of elected representatives would suggest. PPWVS reduced their RNK weight from 184 to 162. The Green Party and the BQ Party were fairly represented in that the elected count and the choice ratio count were the same. PPWVS indicated no adjustments in RNK weight. The NDP had more support from the electorate than the number of elected representatives would suggest. PPWVS uplifted their RNK weight from 44 to 55. After PPWVS has completed its adjustments to RNK weights, these revised weights are used by PVS. Creating and editing. With the background explained, we can move on to creating and editing decision using PVS. All decisions using PVS use PVS election processes. The term election refers to all types of decision making. PVS permits the editor while in the elections edit window to create, edit, duplicate, delete, and open elections. Also, the editor enters and edits candidates and voters. Insert the name of the election in the name field. Insert an access code as required. Access codes are only for filtering and linking of duplicate elections. If you do not provide an access code, PVS will provide one. Adjust the dates as required. The system provides default dates, however, the editor may open or close an election at the click of a button as required. Insert notes on the purpose of the election and other relevant information. Select the type of the election. In this case, the type is proportional. Fill in all the boxes with respect to country, state, and city. These location fields have no impact on the performance of the program. PVS uses RNK weights in proportional elections. In this setup we set results to private as false, and we set voting to private as true. This results in a private election with private voting and public results. The Save button creates the election in the cloud. After the editor presses the Save button, the editor can then insert and edit candidates and voters. Choices can be set up individually and modified to suit. Or a CSV file can be set up and imported into the program by following the prompts. This example election uses an imported choices file which include a choice name, notes, and a description. Voters. Voters need to be set up by the editor because this is a private election. As such, any signed-in user with an email address that matches those on file may RNK choices while in the RNK vote window. In this example, the editor uses a CSV file to bring in the list of voters. These are set up in the cloud and linked to this election by means of the access code. The active voter email address is the connecting link to a stored voter. A private election maintains a tight control over the voters, whereas a public election is open to all voters. Duplicates are easily created from whatever election is selected in the Elections Edit window. The editor may modify the choices for either copy. Either or both copies may be elevated into the Elections Vote window. If voters are modified in the Elections Edit window, this will impact all cloned elections when voting takes place. Duplicate elections carry identical setup values, and these can be modified by the editor. Open election. After the editor is satisfied the editing is complete, and from the Elections Edit window, the editor can elevate the election to the Elections Vote window, or wait for the election to elevate itself, once the opening date and time is reached. From the Elections window, the editor would select the Private Vote button to display a list of available private elections to vote on. Voting. A voter enters all RNK votes in the RNK Vote window. A voter would log in using the Login window, verify his email address, accept the terms and conditions. Then he would click on the Elections button to access the Elections window. From the Elections window, he would select the Private Vote option to display a list of available private elections. At that point, he would select a Vote button to enter the RNK Vote window. From there, it is a simple matter to follow the prompts and enter his RNK votes. Vote saving. In this example, there are 5 legislative vote blocks. PVS represents each vote block as a single voter. These voters enter RNK votes on behalf of their parties. These parties are the Conservatives, the Liberals, the Green Party, the NDP, and the BQ. The Conservative Party acts as the editor in this example. After logging in and navigating to the private elections window, the voter selects the appropriate vote button to progress to the RNK vote window. Voter 1 in this case is the editor, and his display shows additional buttons for delete, close, and results. A regular user will only see the vote button on the Elections Vote screen. The following sequence shows a progression of RNKs by the voters. Note the real-time results. When a voter presses the Save button, PVS pushes his RNK votes online and processes them in the cloud. Cloud functions compare his latest RNK votes with prior RNK votes, if they exist, and process a difference. PVS applies this difference as additive to the choice files stored online. There is no further need to perform added calculations with respect to a specific voter once his RNK votes are processed. PVS returns the recalculated results to the voter screen, with a delay of around 10 seconds. In high-volume voting situations, PVS stores overflow RNK votes in the cloud as vote shards and finalizes them later. Closing elections. Once an editor is satisfied that all voting is complete, and if it is the accepted protocol within the context of the election, he can close the election, thus allowing full access to the election's results windows. In any event, the election will close automatically once it reaches its design closing time. Private results are accessible to the editor from the private vote elections window, to the editor and any registered voter from the private results election window. Public results are accessible to all logged-in users from the public results election window. Analysis. PVS paired voting system analysis. The strategy for the voters was to set their first-place RNKs to their preferred choices, and then set in their RNKs votes for choices in a direction, outwards from there. The Liberal and BQ had an agreement on IAP 1.2%, and so this came first in the rankings. 172 fours was enough to carry the vote. There was not enough support to carry IAP 1.6% into second place. IAP 1% was second in the rankings, and this choice was the Liberals' third choice.
Conclusion. This concludes our presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it.